And I'll show you in a minute when we take it outside. So we've started on closing in this end of the shop for storage, and we've milled up some poplar siding, framed it out. Well, I got a little issue. Let me show you something. We've got these old schoolhouse windows that we're going to set in these openings, and we got 3 of them. They're all the same size. This rough opening is perfect. Got a place for a 1-inch jamb to be built around, and then it sits in there, and I'll make some materials for that. So this rough opening here is perfect. It is 40 1/4. Now let's come down here. This rough opening here is nearly 41. So we got 3/4 inch difference. And then this last rough opening is 1.5 inches different from the first one. Now, if I made a mistake like that when I was starting out, that's to be expected, because, you know, when you're starting out, you make a lot of mistakes, and of course you make a lot of mistakes all the way through anyway. But the contractor would point it out to me, or the boss, and say, now listen, these rough openings, although they're called rough openings, they still got to be the same. They got to be right. These are not right. I'm not going to point the blame and throw somebody under the bus who framed this for me. But if you watch any of my previous videos, you saw maybe who did the framing. So I've got to make adjustments to this, and then I'm going to build, Lord willing, some frames for those windows to sit in, and go ahead and set the frames in so that we can finish out the top side of this wall. We're going to try to get the ends framed up and get this thing closed in, because we need to start using it for storage. ASP. So what am I going to do? How are we going to fix this? Well, this one here only being a 1/2 inch difference from the original, the one that is correct, I went out over to the sawmill and found a little piece of 1/2 inch poplar here, and I've ripped it down so that it fits right there. Say, well, ain't it gonna be different than the first one? Well, it's back to the same as the first one now. And what we'll be ending up doing is putting a skirt board on here. I'll show you when we get there, and it's going to camouflage the mistake. A lot of times in construction, errors are made. There's ways to fix it. The homeowner knows nothing about it. You took care of the issue, took care of the problem. So I got my son working on this end, getting it framed up. Want him to make sure that if we get the openings all the same. If you're doing multiple windows and the windows are all the same, your rough opening needs to be all the same. Now we're ready to make some sills and jambs for this thing. Mold it over. Not that this is going to get wet that much. I've got some white oak right over there, so I think I'm going to mill white oak. And according to the measurements, all the jamb pieces need to be 1 inch around the perimeter, and that ought to work out just great. So let's mill that white oak. All right. I should have done that one without any moisture in it whatsoever, because I told you I was going to check the moisture in the middle. Let's get you in here. So we'll try to get it where it's set down in there. As you can see, 26.1. Now, as you can see, well, maybe it's dried out a little bit, but it ain't dried out much. All right, we're down to the pith right there, which we're going to make a little firewood out of. But I think we're certainly going to have enough. We got four windows that we need jams for. Pretty nice. Now in this segment, I'm going to show you how to make a windowsill. Now this is different than if you're doing residential construction, because in a residential construction, well, everybody nowadays is buying prefab windows and nobody's building window frame. But this is for a barn, and so we're going to do things a little bit different. We're not going to build an entire cased out jamb for the window. We're going to build the sill independent of the side and the top jambs. Going to put the sill in, and put the sides, or put the top in and then put the sides in, and then we'll put a skirt on it and some casing on it later on. But first thing we need is a sill. Now the wonderful thing about these windows, we've commonized them all. They're all the same, and so I've got 28 inches from here to here. I'm gonna give myself a little room, a little wiggle room, because this is, after all rough sawn lumber. And you know, it might be a little here and a little there, but whatever. Now, it appears that I need to make, in order for this nose piece to come out far enough, it needs to be, yeah, I'm gonna go 1 3/4 inches. So remember that number, and I'll be showing you here in a minute. So I've got two numbers that'd probably be smart for me to write down. 28 inches and 1 3/4 inches. We just took those measurements. Now, I sort of have to figure, okay, how much overhang or what size casing am I going to put on those outside windows? Well, so I'm going to put 4 inches. All right, so that means I need 28 plus 8 inches, 4 for each side. That gives me 36 inches, right? Well, yeah, but I want this nose piece to stick out, oh, an inch more on each side, so that gives me 38 inches. So I need 4 pieces for the nose, for the sills, 38 inches. Now, all of that probably doesn't make a bit of sense to you right here at the moment, but I'm hoping it will in the next moment. There's 1 at 38. There's 2 at 38. Then I need 1 more. Very good. We're going to make all 4 of them the same. And you may remember I set a magic number 1 3/4. All right, so I'm going to put a mark right here, 1 3/4. And then I said the overhang is at 5. I'm going to go 5 1/8. I'll show you why of that here in just a minute, okay? Same thing on this end, 1 3/4, 5 1/8. Now I know, and normally I wouldn't be making all these marks if this was all fancy kind of stuff, but we're just building a barn, right? Or a storage shed. 1 3/4. And then it's going to all make sense here in just a minute, okay? It really will. So I need to cut this part out on each end. Now just hang on, it's going to all make sense in a minute. I'll tell you what, let's do. Let's just go ahead and make sense of it right now. I think this is going to look good. What you want to do though when you're doing something like this, take less off to start with. You can always take more off, but it's hard to glue it back on. You know what I mean? Now this is not cut, you know, storefront perfect. This is for a shop. If this material is planed down exact thickness, same thickness all the way through, then I can make this little nosing absolutely perfect all the way through. But because it's thicker here or thinner here or whatever, it's not going to, but let me just take you out here and show you what we got. So what we made here is a sill for a barn, or in this case, a storage extension. Now you remember that little, I said it was 28 inches wide and I took a little bit extra off. That's because I wanted this thing to fit without having to jam it in here. Now, see it's got a little slope on here. And then pretend this is a 4-inch piece of stock. When I nail that on there for the casing, you see how that's going to come about to where that rolls off at the end, okay? And then the window will sit back here on this, and then we'll put a skirt right under here, like that. Pretend that's a good square piece. Put that right there. And that's our window sill. Because the windows are commonized, I now know, and because this fits, I can make 4 of these, and all the sills will be ready to go in. It's white oak, so it's going to be here long, 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 long after I'm gone. All right, let's go make 3 more. So we got our one for our pattern. We got them commonized. So now we have to do, and like, don't forget, no, certainly not. This principle for building these sills would be the same for if you were building wooden sills for the fanciest place in the world. You'd be a whole lot more exacting, and you probably saw it a minute ago, but show you how to make that. One side's going to be your surface, all right? So let's assume this is the surface side. So stopped right there at the line. Stopped right there at the corner. Flip it over. You can finish it out, and then when you got to your finished side, the top side, you got a perfect little corner right there. Now to finish these pieces off, and I'll show you in a minute when we take it outside, I'm going to put a little bit of bevel right there on each end, just so water will run it off of it. I like that. See that? So that goes like that, and that goes like that, and that will go like that. Now I'm drilling these out because we've done a good bit of work, and they probably would not split. Actually, I could probably just nail them in, but I'm going to go ahead and just screw them in place. And that way I know they're going to be there and they're not going to bow or warp or anything. One in the middle. right, then we need 2 side pieces, 37 and 36 7/8. You ready for magic? It better fit. Hold this right here. Don't let it fall. Yeah, on that side, and it needs to come up a little bit on the other side. Can you push it out toward the stop? It really needs to come up a little bit more, higher. So now we can finish out the siding around this, and we'll take a piece of oak or something, and we'll case this out right like that. Put a little bead of caulk around that just to keep the whispers from going in and out. By George, we are got some windows in it.